Welcome to the Resilience Report, where each week we share the latest on companies engaging in inspirational solutions for our planet and engage with ecopreneurs and lighthouse leaders disrupting their respective industries in pursuit of better, more resilient business. I'm your host, Lauren Scott. Thank you for joining me as we dive into this week's report. Today, we're exploring the powerful intersection of possibly three of my favorite things: fashion, technology, and of course, sustainability. Julia K. Dietmar, co-founder and CEO of OpenWardrobe, joins us to discuss the shift from fast fashion to personalized, AI-powered styling. Julia shares how our platform is helping consumers rediscover the value of what they already own, while tackling the growing issue of fashion waste. For more than 20 years, Julia has been a product leader, fashion tech enthusiast, and retail innovator. In 2021, Julia and her team launched OpenWardrobe with the purpose of providing actionable consumer data to apparel brands for better insights and demand forecasting to reduce overproduction. Before co-founding OpenWardrobe, Julia was the chief product officer of Sequoia-backed View.ai, an AI for retail company, where she worked with dozens of apparel brands around the world, helping them personalize the consumer experience. Julia holds a Bachelor of Arts in Computer Science from UC Berkeley and an MBA from INSEAD in Fontainebleau, France. I've really enjoyed chatting with Julia and love diving into conscious consumption and reimagining what it means to dress with purpose. Welcome back to another episode of the Resilience Report. Today's going to be a really interesting one because in the past, we've had episodes, actually several episodes on sustainability and fashion. We've also had a number of different episodes focusing on how technology and sustainability can intersect. But today we're actually bringing the two together. We're bringing both fashion and technology with a phenomenal entrepreneur who's here to talk all about her business. So Julia, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Lauren.
So I think the term fast fashion is probably one that most of our listeners are becoming familiar with it just overall. But I would love if we could start maybe first at a high level, if ever we happen to have any listeners who are less familiar with the term, but then really how you're thinking about fashion differently with OpenWardrobe.
Yeah, absolutely. So fast fashion, I think it started with Zara and H&M. I don't know which one exactly coined that term, but those two companies are associated with fast fashion. And now Shein also joined them. So the term really came about from the fact that they have accelerated the whole supply chain and made it so that consumers get products from inception to store in as less than 6 weeks. Traditional fashion, kind of a slow fashion, if you will, usually takes 18 months, 12 to 18 months to conceptualize the collection, start planning, production, and until it hits stores. So fast fashion, instead of having kind of traditional 4 seasons, they have 52 seasons a week. So basically every week they have new collections coming to the store. So that's where the term came from. So it's really fast. And then the whole idea is about giving consumers something new to look forward to and buy every week. So that's where it came from. And what we're trying to do, we're really kind of trying to flip the script on fast fashion and help people make more of what they already own instead of putting value on new. So we're trying to put value on quality, what you already have. Maybe it's a sentimental value. Maybe it's just really something that you have owned and loved and can wear several different ways. So at the core of the platform is really what it's about. It's about visibility. It's really having ability to see what you own, understand what you own, understand what works for you, for your body, for your lifestyle. And if you have all of that, then you make more intentional choices. For example, our AI stylist helps people rediscover their clothes by just giving simple suggestions on how to remix them. A lot of us, when we buy something, we buy it kind of to wear it with something else. It's kind of how we shop, right? Especially, I know a lot of men who just walk in a store, see something on a mannequin, like, okay, I buy the full outfit and that's how I wear it.
Yes.
Right? But there's not a lot of creativity. And what we're helping with is just to spark that creativity and rediscover how to wear clothes that you already own. So that's basically what it is. And then on top of that, we offer services like alterations, repairs. We integrate with resale platforms, and it's all kind of at your fingertips. So the circular economy piece is built into the platform, and we're making it easier to extend life of each garment and shift from mindset of consumption and putting value on new to one of care and creativity.
And was there a kind of aha moment for you in terms of creating Open Wardrobe, or was it more of a general build of seeing maybe just how disposable a lot of people view our different fashion pieces? Was it a moment in time, or what did that journey look like to create the business itself?
Well, it really kind of, that idea came from really two things. That it was frustration, my own frustration with my own closet, and an opportunity. And plus, I spent many years working in fashion tech and retail tech in general. And I could see how much focus was on innovation and on selling more and faster. But no one really was talking about helping people make sense of what they already had. So that was kind of the big opportunity I saw. And I also heard from many people, friends, colleagues, that they have nothing to wear despite having overflowing closets, right? Very common problem. Mm-hmm. And I realized that the missing layer was really the context. So Open Wardrobe was born to kind of this bring together data, design, personal insights, personal creativity to have people feel good in what they already own.
And I think it's so interesting too, bringing in the technology piece, because again, we've had other episodes where you've been talking about sustainable fashion, maybe from a material standpoint or from a sourcing standpoint. But I really do think that there's something with intersecting technology with whatever area you're trying to make more sustainable. So can you speak to that, especially if you have that deep kind of online retail experience, as to what role does technology play in that adoption of maybe change behavior, and hopefully in this case it is sustainable behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. So I view technology as an enabler. Helps people when used well. It helps shift our behaviors, and it helps shift our behaviors at scale, right? Not just individuals, but everybody. In our case, we use AI to analyze users' wardrobes to recommend outfits and just kind of help them remix things. We provide kind of styling tips. We provide, I already mentioned, responsible next steps in life cycle of a garment, right? Like resale, repairs, alterations. And what we're seeing is that by making those action very seamless and easy and personalized, we lower the friction that often stands in the way of sustainable choices. So when we talk about sustainability in supply chain and materials and sustainable practices, better dyes and so on, it's all great. And it's very, very important conversation. But we at Open Wardrobe, we kind of realized that the focus on industry is there already, a spotlight is there. And we decided to focus on the consumer and help consumers make better choices without feeling like they have to sacrifice anything or pay more money for sustainable brands or do a lot of research. It's just all through this technology and tools and kind of being able to bring it all together. And beyond fashion, I think tech can, in general, help reframe consumption mindset across industries, right? So it's really kind of moving from passive ownership to active stewardship, if you will.
I love that. And I really do feel like that is going to be such an important part of that path. And I work in a very different world. I work in energy consumption, and we are leaning on technology to help reduce energy consumption. We're also leaning on tools powered by AI in that adoption and in refining our technology. I'm personally often finding myself kind of at odds of, well, AI is very energy hungry, and then at the same time, we're trying to save energy. How do you strike that balance between leveraging a tool like AI that, as it stands right now, is very, very energy intensive, with finding these more sustainable solutions?
Yeah, it's a big tension, of course. It's a big balance that we need to take into account. AI has a very big potential to drive massive efficiencies in many different industries, not just fashion. But it also, as you said, comes with a real environmental cost. For us, that means being more intentional about what we build and how we build it. Um, we use AI to reduce overconsumption, but we also can help with reducing overproduction through the data that we have about what consumers have and how they use what they have. We could potentially help with reducing overproduction. If done at scale, it can offset carbon footprint many times over. Just think about fashion in terms of its environmental impact. If it was a country, it would be the third largest polluter in the world. So yeah, but we also advocate for smarter infrastructure, transparency, and really kind of investing in more mindfulness enabled tools when it comes to consumption.
Which is why I love that Open Wardrobe also leans into the education piece. I think for the most part, we consumers, we're not necessarily making quote unquote bad decisions on purpose, but sometimes we just don't necessarily know better. I think fashion, we're starting to get there, but I'm sure the statistic you just shared, most people are not aware of. So how do you think about education as you're bringing the consumer along with you?
Yeah, so you already mentioned like the tech that we have, but in my opinion, the tech without that education piece is just automation. So what we want to do is really we want to empower people, and we kind of joke that empower OW stands for Open Wardrobe in the word. So we do want to empower them to make better decisions, not to just tell them what to do or tell them what to wear or how to wear it. So we built interactive guides. We're partnering with industry experts on kind of creating mini workshops and mini master classes that really teach people to understand what, how to look for quality, for example, or even things like, how do you understand? You probably can look in the mirror and say, this looks good on me, or this doesn't look good on me, but you probably do not understand why. So by teaching you this why, then you kind of make better choices. Oh, if I know that orange, however I try, is not going to look good on me, I'm going to stop trying because it looks good on my friend, right? And buying that's a thing that I will never wear, or I will toss it, or whatever. So this education piece, I think, is very important. So combining the two is really where empowerment is coming from.
And I would also love to look at, I guess, kind of an extension of education, but it seems we were talking about this at the top, that the average consumer, I would say the average household is now becoming familiar with the term of fast fashion and maybe the negative consequences of that. What do you still view as the biggest barrier? I mean, I'm sure there's certainly a component we don't want to neglect of accessibility, in terms of there's a large section of the population that would benefit from lower cost items. However, there are a lot of folks who I think can afford it and maybe just aren't necessarily making those decisions. So where do you see the largest barrier right now?
I think it's really I think there's a lot of education materials and talking about materials, dyes, supply chain, and how we can make that better. The blind spots, in my opinion, right now is really in what happens to that garment after we buy it and after we've worn it for several times. So a lot of people don't even realize that for a garment to be considered sustainable, it needs to be worn around 30 times, at least 30 times. And with the current consumption levels, we wear them on average 7 times. And that's average, right? So many more are just worn a couple of times and then tossed or discarded somehow. So this kind of the another thing is what people are not realizing a lot of times is how much resources it takes to produce a single garment. So people know, producing clothes takes a lot of water. How much water actually does it take? And a lot of people don't even know these numbers, that it takes as much water to produce one single t-shirt. Takes 713 gallons of water or 2,700 liters of water. So it's enough for a single person to drink for more than a year.
Wow.
Right? So, and then if we extend the life of our clothes by just 9 months, we reduce this environmental impact by 30%. So how do we do that? And it's already after we bought it, right? So this after purchase, what happens? How can we, it's not just, we talk a lot about how to make smarter decisions about choosing sustainable brands, but how do we make sustainable what we already own? I think that's where the blind spots are right now.
I completely agree. And I'm also realizing I should probably stop nagging my husband, who wears the same t-shirts from before we started dating 14 years ago. So he's probably amortized that t-shirt very well.
Yeah, mine is the same way. He wears it and does it tears apart. So we talk about sustainable.
As you look ahead for Open Wardrobe, what is your hope for the business? Is it maybe extending to a broader range? And on a more large scale, I guess, what is your hope for the fashion industry overall?
Well, for Open Wardrobe, I'd love for it to become a go-to platform for personal style that's both expressive and responsible. So we're not about selling you more. We're all about teaching you how to use what you already own. So that means expanding our services, maybe integrating more with within the ecosystem, right? Like we already partner with even personal stylists. We don't have yet wardrobe organizers yet, right? We don't have shoe repair yet. So expanding those services beyond what we already have and really continuing to scale our AI in thoughtful ways. So our AI is gaining more skills every day. But more broadly, I really want to see the world where taking care of our clothes is just as cool as buying something new, because fast fashion kind of conditioned us over the last decade or so to put value on newness instead of putting value on quality and care. So that would be great if that happened. And I actually see already those shifts happening. I see people making better decisions when buying. I see people taking care. There's a lot of, even on social media, there's a lot of content around mending and, taking care of or upcycling and teaching people how to do that. So that's great. Maybe the shift is already happening. We'll see how it goes.
Definitely becoming friends with a tailor. If I'm not handy myself, so making friends with a tailor has been phenomenal. But I also recognize my own conditioning. For example, the other day I was looking at a local Quebec designer. I'm based in Montreal. And I thought, it's been a really long time since they've released something new, but it was just last season. But we're so now conditioned to view, refresh the page 1 week later, they should have something new. But it is really just within the past decade, maybe 2 decades, that we've built up this expectation as consumers, even sustainable consumers. So I think it will be a re-education for ourselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
In working in this space now and the deep experience on online retail, but then now crossing over to the sustainability side, how has it impacted your own fashion and the way you look at the way you purchase and maintain your clothing?
Yeah, I changed a lot. It used to be, and I kid you not, it used to be a garment. I would buy something new every week.
Yeah.
And my closet got completely out of control. And it kind of hit me during COVID that I had so much clothes and I wasn't wearing it. And this is when I really kind of started noticing that, oh my gosh, I didn't wear this for a year, or I didn't wear that for 2 years. That's when I really, that's actually when OpenWardrobe was born. It was during COVID that the idea was born. And now, since I have this, I use our AI every day when I get dressed. I'm like, okay, I know I want to wear this pair of pants. How would I style it? Very quickly, and then I just pull out something and then just put it on, and look, it looks good. And in many cases, I get the same feedback from our users. I would not have thought myself to pair those 2 or 3 things together, and then it looks good, and then I get compliments, and I'm like, okay, I can get a lot more use out of this. So yeah, I definitely changed. My closet is still a mess. I still need to organize it, but I'm getting there slowly but surely.
It's just great though, because it sounds like, you're thinking maybe a future added service is the wardrobe organizer, that sort of thing. So you can pressure test and to see what could be those steps that you would enjoy as a consumer for ultimately your customer base as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if we do have listeners who are thinking, what does that process even look like? So is it taking pictures of all your individual pieces, those get uploaded? Because I'm sure right now, as our listeners are listening to you share how it's impacting your own day-to-day decisions, what does that even look like if they want to get set up with OpenWardrobe?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just kind of building your closet digitally, right? So you can either take pictures of your clothes, you can pick from, we have a catalog of common items, like thinking everybody has a white t-shirt or a pair of blue jeans and stuff like that. So if you have already something similar, you can start with that. We have a browser extension from which you can very easily, just as easy as adding to Pinterest, for example, you can very easily add stuff to your wardrobe from if you're buying online. So you go to your orders page and then you just pick from there. We also have integrations with some stores where you can just go directly into your orders page and just import orders into the app. So we have many different ways to help you. I do have to say, though, it was very interesting for me to even look at that statistic. We have millions and millions of items uploaded. With all these methods, 93% is people taking photos of their clothes. And a lot of our users say, yes, it takes time, but I spend the weekend on it, and oh my God, it's so worth it. So we have people have emailed me saying, you cured my shopping addiction. Another person emailed saying, I used to have a huge closet, always felt like I have nothing to wear. Now I have much smaller closet and I can go for a year without repeating an outfit. Wow. So it's been very kind of rewarding getting those emails and messages. So yeah, if you can spend a weekend, and I always say start with 10. 10 will take you 15 minutes. It's not that long. Start with 10, try that, then go up to 30. 30 is a really good number because it's a typical size of a capsule wardrobe. Take 30 items, shoes included, by the way. Take 30 items of what you wear most often and start with that and then see how that helps. And then, slowly you can build up. We have people with thousands. I don't know who those people are, but we have people with thousands of items. We have one woman who has 156 handbags.
Wow. Wow.
So we have some crazy closets in our system, but on average, it's about 200, 220 items. So it doesn't take too long to upload it, and you get a lot of value out of it.
Can see how that also just even helps you to do your kind of frontline closet cleanup by taking everything out. As you're taking the pictures, you can also kind of sort what you already realize you haven't worn in the past 3 years, to your point. So
Yeah,
that is really neat. And I'm sure your background, as you're mentioning before founding the company, has opened different doors. You were also at one point part of the Forbes Technology Council. And I just thought that was really interesting.
yeah.
What does that even entail? And was there any learnings that you got from that experience that you were able to bring over to OpenWardrobe?
Yeah, it's a Forbes Technology Council is basically a bunch of freelance writers that write about technology, and typically, like to get a membership, it's not a very typical process. They just give you an interview, and then they determine that you do have a technical background and you can be an expert in something. And then you just write. I didn't write too much. I wrote about AI in early days. I wrote about computer vision. It's a pretty good platform to exchange ideas and really stay plugged into what's happening in the tech world specifically. So yeah, I contributed through some articles, and the best thing is also that Forbes Technology Council is a very good network of people who are maybe other founders or technologists working in big companies, and just a good ideas exchange.
I think it can be a great tip too, because we have a number of listeners who are entrepreneurs or business leaders. So I think that that's one great path for them to explore after this episode. I was curious as well, do you have any advice for business leaders who are listening or founders who are for the first time thinking of maybe going down the path of their area of expertise, but then layering on sustainability? Do you have any tips that you've learned over the past few years that you maybe wish you had known when you launched this back in 2020, 2021?
I think, and this is what I learned with even OpenWardrobe, it's not sustainability is not kind of layered on. It needs to be built into what you're doing. So for us, it was built into the platform from the very beginning, and it's one of the core values. And whenever we think about what to do next or what to build next or who to partner with, we always look at this through the lens of, is this going to help further our mission of keeping clothes out of landfills and keep helping people shop and more sustainable or more mindfully, and help people reuse what they already have. So that was kind of inherently built. So that would be my point of view. I'm sure there are different businesses that can look at it slightly differently, but for us, this was very much core of the platform.
I think that helps avoid what a lot of companies who maybe jumped on the bandwagon over the past few years and now with the current climate are deciding to retract some of those efforts. So I think if it is core to your operations, you completely avoid the greenwashing conundrum. It is really, truly part of who you are as a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're an entrepreneur in the fashion and the technology space. I can't really imagine two worlds that maybe have more pressure all coming together on a founder. As you're building this company, building this community, how do you get back to yourself so that you can continue to grow this and really feed into this broader vision?
So for me, you mentioned community. Our community has been absolutely fundamental. And there are days when I just like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. It's not working, or that is not done the way. And then I get an email from somebody saying, oh my God, your platform helped me so much. Thank you. There was a woman that said, I have ADHD, and looking at the messy closet just gives me stress and anxiety. Having this platform helped me just feel sane. And things like that, which I never even thought about that person when I designed it. But when I get email like this really kind of reinvigorates me. So community is important. and just being out and about. I mean, I've been doing this, I mentioned, since COVID, and there are good days, there are bad days, of course. So just kind of staying a little bit plugged into our mission and getting back to why are we doing what we're doing, and not, it's very, very, very difficult. It's very difficult to not be bothered or distracted by what others are doing, what the competitors are doing, how they're approaching this. So kind of getting back, and I'm still working on myself to get to that point every time. It's very hard, but it helps.
And if our listeners, because I'm sure at this point, are super curious to learn more and want to possibly join that community, where would you recommend they go check out first?
So start with our website. We have openwardrobe.co. It's our corporate site. From there, you can get to the app, or you can go straight to openwardrobe.app. It's available on the website, or you can just download it from your app store on iOS, Apple, or Google. So we have mobile apps, we have web app. Whatever is more convenient for you.
Fantastic. Well, I know I'll personally be going and playing around with it, seeing the different formats. And if our listeners want to check it out as well, if you go to the App Store, you can kind of get an idea as the interface as well. It's really streamlined. So I can see how you got that feedback, that it kind of created a sense of calm for somebody who is feeling overwhelmed by their wardrobe as well. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And we do like to end every episode with the same question, which I'd love to hear from you, which is, what do you think it will take for businesses and leaders to be resilient going forward?
Oh gosh, it's a very good question. I'm going to repeat myself, but I think having a very clear value for why you're doing what you're doing, and this is for me being a very big source of strength and source of kind of being able to wake up in the morning and keep going. So the why, just why are we doing what we're doing? And it helps to get through hard times. And there are a lot of those when you're building your own business.
Absolutely. Well, we're so lucky that you channeled all of that deep experience and you're bringing it to such a really interesting, sustainable solution. Again, we have listeners who are very passionate about fashion, very passionate about technology. So I'm excited for them to learn a little bit more about where those worlds interact.
Yeah, amazing.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Julia. It was fantastic talking to you.
Thank you, Lauren. Thanks for having me here.
I hope that you've enjoyed this week's edition of the Resilience Report. If you would like to hear and see more, be sure to check out @The Resilience Report on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until we connect again, remember, even on the darkest of days, we all have the opportunity to be a lighthouse for others as we collectively pursue better, more resilient business.